Hi. Okay, so look, y'all, I have been gone forever and I apologize. Um, I haven't even caught up on Married to Medicine since when y'all left off. That's exactly when I picked up. But I am going to make a couple of comments here to the Wendy Williams situation because I have been on Twitter, by the way, Peeps 1908 on Twitter or X, whatever. And I have been getting into some fights over the Wendy Williams documentary. And I thought it was like, you know what, I'm gonna just make a video because this is not working out for me. So there's a few things that I think is happening. Number one, this started in 2022. Like the filming of this started in 2022. Clearly, even the documentary did not quite finish because they felt ethically that they should not continue because clearly her health was not up to this and it felt like this was not getting any better. So they clearly had an ethical standpoint, which I think is, finally. But yeah. So when I'm listening to people who are still saying Wendy Williams was okay, this came out in 2024, I'm like, you clearly didn't watch it. This was filmed in 2022. Now, the question is, should it have aired? Wendy Williams is the executive producer. And here's the thing, she is not mentally, anybody who watches this, it is evident she is not mentally, she has cognitive issues. Combine that with alcohol. I don't think she has the ability to make sound decisions to even have put this out for air. But you have a manager and a publicist, Will and Sean, that should be fired. I don't understand. I mean, they are clearly making money off of making her look silly and stupid. There is zero. I know that Wendy loves being famous, loves being the center of attention, but I struggle with the fact that this woman never wanted her with her real hair. We never saw her real hair. And actually, her real hair was pretty when she took it off. So the concept that she was willing to take off her wig on television, yeah, okay. I don't believe it. She still calls herself Wendy Hunter, which we saw in the documentary, what, a year or two ago, that she was clearly still upset at her ex-husband and absolutely would not want her last name to be Hunter. I mean, she was rightfully so bitter. There are some women out there who are on Twitter said like, oh, she's doing all this just to get out of paying him because he needs his money. Her ex-husband needs dust. Do you hear me? Dust. That's what her ex-husband needs. Dust. Okay, what else? Number two, I think when she fell, and I have no evidence of this, but I do think this is what happened. Because when she was on television, there was a couple things that if you were a watcher of Wendy Williams, like I watched Wendy Williams episodes, okay? I've watched all of the episodes. If I did not watch them on regular television, I watched them on YouTube. So I have watched all of the episodes. And one of the things that she had always talked about is little Kevin was on a budget. Of course, she'd give her son everything, but her son, even making the statement, he made it twice in this documentary, in all of the iterations of this documentary. He made it twice by saying that he spent what she allowed him to spend, what she approved of him to spend. Sir, And I think this is really difficult for children. So I'm going to give him a little bit of grace because he's young. He's used to spending whatever he wants. But I firmly believe that you cannot, you could ask a mother, and my son could do the same thing too. Could my daughter too could ask me for the world. And if I knew, and I could do this to my mom, I can do this to my mother right now. I could ask my mother for $1 million. And if she had $1 million in the bank, $1,001, she'd give me the million. But do I? The reason why I don't is because I'm more concerned about her needs and taking care of herself. Because you know why? She's older. I have more life to live and I can work. My back may hurt, but it is not, my knees may be going bad, but it is nothing compared to what my mother, who is in her 70s, can go through. Now, Wendy is young, she's not even 60 yet. And I can understand how difficult it could be for a child to see their parent age. I am dealing with that myself. It is weird, it is difficult. But this is, and then unfortunately, when you're this young, you have to pull your boots. You're going to have to put your big trousers on, and you have to take on a better position. He should not have been financial power of attorney. Point blank, period. Yes, he doesn't want her drinking. Okay. But he cannot handle money of this magnitude well, because he is not considering what the health and long-term needs are of his mother. He is spending like she still has a job, like she's still raking in millions. At this point, she has to manage the millions that she has in the bank and not spend like tomorrow is not promised, because tomorrow is going to be the same dollar amount because she's not getting residuals or anything. She does still have companies. I don't know if the companies are still up and running in the same way. Clearly didn't show it on this. She had a wig company and all this other stuff. I didn't see any of this on the documentary. Um, she's still executive producer of the Aaliyah movie that sometimes run. So she's not making the same amount of money that she was making when she had the Wendy Williams show. So therefore, you can't ball out of control spending $30,000 a month on rent. You can't ball out of control spending 240 something thousand dollars a month on food, 100,000 on Uber Eats, and another 100,000 on miscellaneous. And when the nephew justified the 100,000 on miscellaneous by saying, well, she spent 120,000 on his birthday, so 100,000 on miscellaneous is just whatever. Sir, no, this is not how this works. And that's why, and what I think happened, she always talked about on her show, is how little Kev was on a budget. She was always going to work. And so this is why she's really focused on money, which I can understand that concept. And then the third thing is that she was always had a plan. She was always financially planning. So what I think happened is she had a personal banker, which when you have someone with that kind of money, you have a personal banker and you have an accountant. And none of that was mentioned here. I think that's convenient that none of that was mentioned. And I think that she wrote something up. When she passed that on television, she wrote something up to say, they probably asked her, like, look, you're going to have to get your finances in order. Something's going to have to give, because she was always planning. When she talked about divorcing her husband, when she first found out that he had a whole side relationship, she began to plot and plan her exit then by putting stuff in her parents' name, stuff like that. So I believe that she always had a plan that when her health was starting to decline, she had a plan. And what I think is she wrote out something to her personal banker, to her financial accountant, and say, I think it's her personal banker though. If X, Y, and Z happens, meaning if my spending looks such and such, yank all of that. And I think that what Wells Fargo did was exactly what she already put in writing. It is clear that her family, because her and her brother, I don't know if you remember, they had they have an off and on relationship. Her and her sister love each other, but you got to remember when her years ago on the show and in her documentary, she talks about her relationship with her sister, and they have not always been as chummy. And part of that was because of the comments about her weight. She is still insecure about her weight. She's petrified of being fat. Um, her and her sister have not always been that close. So the way that this family is trying to set up like how much they love her and support her, I don't dispute that they love her, but I also know they're not as close as when the only person she's the closest to is her mother and her father. And her father does not have the capacity to fight this as much as he should. So, and at this point, because she has a son, the only person who could fight this much is her son. And her son, and this is where I get on the son, because I am an only child, and I must admit that I am older than he is. But I'm gonna tell you this. There is no pathway in my life that my child, no, sorry, that my mother is going to get sick and cognitive memory loss, and she's going to have handlers around her, and she's going in treatment centers, and I don't see her for 8 months. Talk about I call her. Do you know that, especially now during the pandemic, whatever, I could have dropped everything. I could be at the house. There are studios in New York. I would not be living in Miami. If she has to be in New York, I'm in New York. My life will be centered around my parent. Because what is not going to happen is I'm not going to have Sean and Will handling her. And I'm the only child. I wouldn't be happy that I'm taking this burden on, but I am not letting my mother be out there in God knows where doing God knows what. I'm going to be there. And once the money was cut off, little Kev is trying to make it on him, is trying to do what he does as if like, well, I I'm not allowed to see her. Do you know I would be perched outside? I I would be sitting outside that door every single day. What you're not going to do is you're not going to tell me that I can't see my mother. Like you're going to have to put a restraining order on me. And fine, you strip power of attorney from me. Fine. So I can't spend. Cool. But what you're not going to do is you're not going to have me in the room with this guardian talking about her health. That's what you're not going to do. I'd be like, look, and what I would have done is I know that I can't, this is too much for me to handle at this age. So I'm going to sit here and I'm going to deal with the financial accountant. We're going to put me on a budget, put her on a budget, figure this out because she's clearly not going to be going to work anytime soon because he even says she shouldn't be working. Okay, you need to deal with the financial aspect. You can't ball out of control. And we got to figure out what we're going to do about this health situation. The way that he handled this, and I get it when people are like, well, he's young. Here's the problem is that we cannot deal with age here because you're an only child, unfortunately, and she's sick. And he hasn't hired not near one attorney. One. Her sister is an attorney. Did she hire an attorney? Not one attorney. You have no attorney friends. None of this makes sense to me. So people are blaming Wells Fargo. Okay, fine. Blame Wells Fargo. I actually hate Wells Fargo, but I'm actually going to believe on the side of Wells Fargo because I don't believe a family that doesn't fight and a family that participates in this. Now I have another problem. I am not get the way that Wendy is, there is zero possibility that she would have in her right mind been okay with this because she go back to when she talked about Whitney Houston dying. And when the Whitney Houston family did a reality show, she dragged them for filth for the way that that reality show looked and how they were making $1 off of her. It's the same thing here. Now they try to the niece try to be like, well, she really wanted this. You guys are talking about a woman who has dementia, saying she really wants this. She doesn't even know what the talking about, I'm gonna be on TV on Wednesday. Her dad's like, well, today's Wednesday. She doesn't know what's up and down. And you're going to no, we're not doing the documentary. I'm not participating in the documentary. I'm not. Let this be my mother. Let this be my mother-in-law. Let this be my friend. I'm not participating in documentary. You know why I'm not participating? Because I'm outside trying to get indoor. Like, I am not letting this happen. And I can't understand the blasé attitude about this. I just cannot figure this out. So sadly, and the people are dragging the Guardian, they found her. And people are dragging Wells Fargo, rightfully so, Wells Fargo's trash. I actually don't think the Wells Fargo is the villain, and that's saying a lot. I think that the sad thing is Wendy Williams does not have anyone trustworthy fighting for her. Um, her dad is too ill and too old. Her family is too blasé. Sean, the publicist, is trash. How do you get on how do you get on this documentary saying we have another Bank of America account? Bank of America, you on notice. You have a Bank of America account and all of the other money is now being funneled through Bank of America. So any other projects that they're trying to, stand her up, the publicist and the manager is propping her up in whatever to try to get $1 out of her. It's the money's going to Bank of America. And she claims she has no money, zero money in Wells Fargo. Come on, that's a lie. Wells Fargo probably does not, she has no concept of probably where the money is going and coming. So I'm curious as to where the money that is now being funneled through Bank of America is going. Will's talking about all stuff is going through the Guardian. The problem with the Guardian is that the Guardian is just there to write checks and to take care of the financial aspect. I don't believe the Guardian has as Will eventually like everything's going through the legal side. Yeah, I somewhat don't I don't believe Will. I believe Will is so untrustworthy. And I'm not letting my mother be around this much of a parasite. Me and her are gonna fight. We're gonna duke it out. Because I'm gonna have an attorney. If it gets to the point that I have to have an attorney, we're duking it out. And if he's like, I'm not leaving, I'm like, oh hell, like hell you are. Like it would be a drug out fight. A Will and a Sean is not going to do it. The fact that Sean flew her to LA, have her standing out on is it Hollywood Boulevard? Yeah, standing out on Hollywood Boulevard. Okay, for y'all who've never been to LA, getting a star on the sidewalk, the stars on the sidewalk, first of all, is right, the homeless sleep on the stars on the sidewalk. It ain't nothing special. I mean, it's special that you got your star out there. I get it. But when I'm saying like the location, like the look of it and everything else, girl, no. It is just like a regular sidewalk in your neighborhood. So it is on Hollywood Boulevard. If I'm not mistaken, I think some of it is on Sunset, but you can correct me if I'm wrong. No, it's not on Sunset. I know it's not as far down as Melrose. Melrose has nothing, but for sure, I know it's up and down Hollywood. I think some of it is on Sunset though, but it's definitely on Hollywood Boulevard. No, it's not on Sunset. Take it back. It is completely all up and down through Hollywood Boulevard. Yeah, but wait a second, yo, because there's not enough space in on Hollywood Boulevard because eventually they'd run out of space. I know that what they've done though in some parts of Hollywood Boulevard is um they may have it turn a little off of Hollywood Boulevard, but it's not up and down all the streets on Hollywood Boulevard. And they've doubled up on some of them. So like you may see two stars next to each other. Um yeah, I mean, yeah, so it's not on Sunset. It is on Hollywood Boulevard for sure. Anyway, what is my point to all this? Um So when she sees her star, to have a publicist have Wendy stand out in front of her star to run into some randoms to take a picture, what are we doing? And then when she's like, "Well, I've never seen her that drunk." You lying? You know you lying. Like you literally are lying to my face. Girl, get out of here. Like, I mean, ultimately, Wendy Williams is sad as fuck. And I'm so, so sorry to see that this is happening to her. I do wish that one of her friends, see, I don't know. Like I trust that being around her family would be good for her mental health, for even her physical health. I do not think that they would be good for the money. I am still unconvinced. I think that she does need a trustee for the money. I think that it should be court appointed. Um, I think that there should be a team to work together. I think it's unfortunate that she is really being punished. And other people, I will say this and then I'll let it go. She is mean. And I get that that is part of having dementia. Everybody I've spoken with whose family members have had dementia. And I will say an alcoholic is mean. I mean, you really don't know what an alcoholic is going to be like. Some alcoholics are not very mean. Some alcoholics are happy drinkers. Wendy is happy and a happy drinker, but she's also a very mean, mean mean person. She needs nurses, trained nurses to be around her that can deal with the sense of abuse. And you also need that they gonna get, and you're gonna also need some family who can be there to help and support her. And it is unfortunate that at this point she doesn't have anybody who loves her and appreciates her and you know And that's kind of where this is at. So on that note, I'm done. I know I need to come back and make more videos, and I promise you I will. So bye.